Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter from TopTechBoy.com, and we're here today with episode number 2 in our incredible new tutorial series where you're going to learn artificial intelligence or you're going to die trying. I'm going to need you to pour yourself a nice full cup of iced coffee. That would be straight up black coffee, poured over ice, no sugar, no sweeteners, none needed. Now, as you are getting out your coffee, as always, I want to give a shout out to you guys who are helping me out over at Patreon. It is your encouragement and your support that keeps this great content coming. You guys that are not helping out yet, look down in the description. There is a link over to my Patreon account. Think about hopping on over there and hooking a brother up. But enough of this shameless self-promotion. Let's jump in and talk about what we're going to learn today. This class, this series of lessons is all about learning artificial intelligence. But we have to start by laying some foundation work, laying down some of the fundamentals. Guys, I'm promising you that I'm going to get to the fun stuff and the cool stuff as quickly as we possibly can. But there are just some things that you've got to understand up front or you're going to struggle all the way through this class. Now, the thing that we're going to learn today is we are going to learn how to run multiple versions of Python on one computer, because some of the things that we're going to be doing we'll be needing to do on one version of Python, and other things that we're going to be doing we're going to be needing to do on other versions of Python. And this is something that can be really confusing, and it's something you're just going to struggle with for the rest of the class if we don't figure it out. Plus, it's something that's just very useful in general to learn. So this week we're going to learn how to run multiple versions of Python on the same computer. And then in the next lesson, what I'm going to do is show you how to enhance that then by using virtual environments. But we're going to start just by flat out running two different versions of Python. And then in the next lesson, I'll explain to you about virtual environments. And virtual environments is probably something you see a lot about, but maybe never really had anyone take you through it step by step so that you can understand it and you can use it. It's a very powerful tool. And then again, as quickly as possible, we'll get to the fun stuff. We'll get to the cool stuff. We'll get to the gee whiz stuff. Okay, are you ready to rumble? We're going to get going here. And what I will do is I will switch over here to a browser. And what I will need you to do is call up your browser, and then I like to search using the most excellent DuckDuckGo search engine. And what we're going to search on is we're going to search on Python download. All right. And guys, like I say, even if you already have a version of Python on your computer, you really need to follow through this lesson with me so we end up with our systems configured the same so that the things that I do on the screen will work with you when you try them at home. If we're running completely different systems, who knows what's going to happen. So we're going to search on Python download, and then it comes up over here to download Python. Oh, it wasn't. Okay, that's an ad was the top result. And then here, download Python from python.org. The URL is actually python.org/downloads. So we will click on that. All right. Now you notice if I clicked on this little yellow box here, it would give me the latest and greatest version of Python. The problem is when you watch this video, it might not be the same number here, right? So if you did exactly what I did here and just clicked on that, then you might not end up with Python 3.9.6. So we're going to be operating on Python 3.9.6. And so if your little box there doesn't say that, what you can do is you can scroll down and you can see, look, we've got let's see, where is it? Okay, what we're going to do is we are going to come to Windows. Okay, so we clicked on Windows. Let me do that to make sure you see it. Okay, we're not going to click there. We're going to click on Windows. All right, and then we're going to come and then it says Python 3.9.6, or even if we scroll down a little bit, it says Windows embedded package. No, I want the Windows installer 64-bit, the Windows installer 64-bit under Python 3.9.6. So we're going to click on that, and then if we look down here, we get the happy little download icon, and my goodness, mine downloaded very, very fast, which is good. And so you can see down here, we've got the little icon, the little happy exe that makes it so easy to do installation. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. If you're on a different browser and don't see it here, you need to probably go look in your downloads folder and it will be there. But I'm going to click right there, and hopefully something will happen. And we have got, boom, we've got the little installer pop up here. Now guys, this is really important. You want to install the launcher for all users. Yes, checkbox that, yes. And very, very important, you want to add Python 3.9 to path. So both of those little boxes need to be checked. And now we are going to do an install now. So I will do an install now, and now the happy little green bar is going across, and we will have this installed in no time. These things nowadays are really pretty easy to install. Back in the day, man, it was a boogeroo to try to get Python running on Windows, but now it's gotten down to where it's really easy to install. It is installed, so we're going to close it. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to just check and make sure that we've got it. And so let me turn that label off, and down here what I want you to search on is power for your Windows PowerShell. So I just type power, and I'm going to open up the most excellent PowerShell, and then I'm just going to type Python. Okay, and boom, Python, we're now in a Python interpreter. So I could just say print, and I could say print hello world, and then I could close that off, and then I could hit enter, and boom, hello world. Wrote our first little line of Python code here in this series of lessons. How do you get out of the Python interpreter? Just quit and then open and close parentheses. And this is kind of new. Some of the earlier versions you had to like Control D, Control Z, Control C, and then you're sitting there trying to do that and it doesn't work for the most recent version of Python. Okay, another thing that makes me happy if I type Python, what you will notice is it tells me that I am on Python 3.9.6, which is just what I just installed, and so we're happy. If yours didn't do that, don't fear, because maybe you already had a Python on your system. Maybe you didn't get the Python you wanted. That's the whole point of this lesson. We're going to learn how to deal with that. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead. No, I'm not going to quit. I'm just going to show you, like, if I tried to import a library that we have not installed, I'm going to say import serial, which we have not installed. It says it is not found. So no module named serial, and so you can't load that library. So I'm going to quit out of here, and then we're going to play with pip a little bit just to make sure that we're able to install packages in our Python 3.9.6, and so to make sure that we can install something. Pip is a program that allows you to install libraries into Python. It comes with the modern version 3s of Python will have pip with it, and it makes management of packages very, very easy. So what I can do if I want to install a library, I just say pip, and then I say install, and then what do I want to install? PySerial, P-Y-S-E-R-I-A-L, and then I click enter, and it's going away looking, and it looks like that it has found something, and it looks like that it says successfully installed PySerial. Okay, so that's good news. And let me bring this up a little bit, and then I will bring my title back just because I like people who might jump into the middle know what we are talking about. A little Windows management here. Okay, so now let's go back to Python. We are still on Python 3.9.6, which is where we wanted to do, but now if I say import serial, okay, look at that. It took the serial, so it did it without an error. So we were able, when we did pip install, it actually installed it, and it installed it on this version of Python. So that is most excellent. I'm going to quit, and then I'm going to put us back where we started by just saying pip uninstall. And then what do I want to install? PySerial. So I'm going to take that back out. Are you sure you want to proceed? Yes. Okay. So boom, we're right back to where we started. All right. Now, what was this lesson going to be about? This lesson was going to be about running multiple versions of Python. So we are going to come back to our most excellent browser, and we're going to come back here to our Python releases for Windows. And what I will want to install is I will want to install Python 3.7. Okay, I am going to install Python 3.7, and if you will give me just a second here. Okay, I'm going to install Python 3.7.9. You probably noticed I lost my little note, so it took me a second to find the 3.7.9. I write these things down to make sure that we are doing the right thing, and so I come down here and I am looking for a Python 3.7.10, 3.7. I'm looking for a 3.7.9. There it is, Python 3.7.9. And again, I want to install the, I have the executable installer, but what I want is I want the 64. Okay, I want the 64 because I have a 64-bit machine. I have a 64-bit machine, and I want the executable installer. That gives you the .exe that makes it so easy to install. So we are going to click on this, and we're getting the download started. And man, I've got a blazing internet today. I've got a blazingly fast internet, and I have downloaded already Python 3.7.9. Normally, I would have a sip of coffee while I'm waiting to download, but here I'm just going to pause and enjoy a most excellent coffee. Guys, leave me a comment down below. Have you guys adapted to iced coffee? Have you even tried it? Okay, have you even tried it? At least for me, try the coffee. Okay, now we're going to click on this executable Python 3.7.9. And we're hoping, there we go, boom. Now you notice it's not giving me the option to install Launcher for all users because it sees that Launcher was already installed. So now I'm just going to say add Python to 3.7, add Python 3.7 to path. That's very important to have that selected. And we're now going to do the install now. And we've got the happy little green bar running across there. That always makes us feel good that things are going along. It's not crashing or hanging. Moving right along there. And we're getting so close, so close, so close, and it is done. Okay, so we're going to close out of that, and we are going to come back to our friend. Who is your friend? Your friend is the PowerShell. Okay, now we're going to type in Python, and we get Python 3.7.9, okay, which was the last one we installed. Okay, now this is the question. What if we wanted to run Python 3.9.6? If I just type in Python, I get, unfortunately, if I just type in Python, I get 3.7.9. And this is kind of like where the problem is. Now, I'm going to show you two different ways to handle this. And so if the first way that I show you isn't maybe a way you know to do it, don't yell at me. I'm going to get to the two easy ways to do it. But I want to show you the first way because it really involves us understanding things better. And so I'm going to quit out of this. Okay, I'm going to quit out of this, and then I'm going to close the PowerShell. I'm actually going to kill the PowerShell. Don't just minimize it, kill it. Okay, and then I'm going to come down here to the little search bar, and I need to turn that off again, the little search bar, and I'm going to type in env. Okay, and then it says edit the system environment variables. So env as in environment, system environment. Okay, and then I get this little box up here, and guys, I am really sorry that I can't very easily make this bigger. Okay, there doesn't seem to be an easy way to make this bigger, but I'll go slow. So what I need you to do is you look down here, and what you can see is environmental variables. This little box, you're going to click on that. And then you come up and you can see that there's different environmental variables in this top box. You want to click on path and you want to say edit. okay? And then these are those paths that we added. At least the top 4 are the paths that we added when we did the Python install. Now you can see I've got some extra ones here because I'd kind of played around with this before, before going live with it. But what can you see? What is the first path? The first path up here is the Python 37 scripts and Python 37. And so the way that these environmental variables work is if I type in Python, it looks in these paths, and so it's going to look in the Python 37 scripts, and then it's going to look in Python 37, and when it looks in the Python 37 folder, it finds Python 3.7, and boom, it runs that one. Now, if you look right after that, I've got Python 39 scripts, and then Python 39, which is Python 3.9, but it doesn't get there because all it does is it finds the first one and it runs with it. So there is a Python in the Python 37 folder. It is Python 3.7, and that's the one that it runs. All right. So if I wanted to run Python 3.9, what would I do? I would need to make this go first. And the way I make that go first is I move it up, and I move the scripts up, and then I'm going to move the 39 up. Okay, move up. Oops, you can't see because of my head. You see that move up button? Okay, and so now I've got Python 39 has Python 3.9, Python 39 scripts, and then Python 37 scripts and Python 37. Now, it doesn't matter if you do 39 or 39/scripts first. It's just you've got to have the 39s before the 37s. And now I'm going to say OK. Now, it's very important. You have to OK all the way out of this, all the way out. If you leave these open and don't OK out of them, or if you left your PowerShell open and just went back to your PowerShell, it's not going to see those changes. So if you see something strange happened, it is because you didn't OK all the way out of those dialog boxes and you didn't restart your PowerShell. So let's try this now. So we are going to say power, and then we're going to open the PowerShell. And now if I say Python, boom, giddy up. Look at that, Python 3.9.6. Why? Because it was the first one in the path. Now I'm going to say quit, okay? And now I'm going to kill the PowerShell, and we are going to go back and fix it the way it was. And so we're going to go environment again, and then we are going to go to environmental variables, and then we are going to go to the path, and we're going to edit. And then you can make these bigger too. These windows will actually get where you can see the whole thing. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the 37. I'm going to move up, and then the 37, I'm going to move up and move up. So now when it loads these things, it's going to look in the Python 37 folders first. I know there's a different way to do it, but I want you to understand how paths work in Windows so that when you run into this, you know what it is actually doing. So now I'm going to say OK, OK, and OK. Thrice OKs. All right, so now we will go back to the most excellent PowerShell. And now what do you expect is going to happen when I say Python? We are going to get 3.7.9. Okay, that is what we expect. All right, so now you can see that that is how we can do it by moving the path around. You know, you can also run Python by just typing pi. And when I type pi, unexpected result. Look at that. When I type pi instead of Python, it runs 3.9.6. Not because pi is tied to 3.9.6, but because pi launches the Python launcher, which automatically looks at all your Pythons and gives you the most recent one. Okay, and so now the way we have it configured, I can just say Python and it will go to 3.7.9. Or I could type pi and it goes to 3.9.6. Kind of cool, huh? You see how we're kind of getting control of this thing? I always felt like Python was in control, but today we're the boss. Okay, and I'm teaching you how to be the boss. All right, so we're going to quit. And now I want to show you, though, that really you can launch things either I would do it one of two ways. I would either always use Python and then just adjust your, which path is on the top of your environmental list of paths, or I would always use Py. Now, this is how you can always just do it by always using Py. I can type Py and then dash, and then I can say I want Py 3.7, and then boom, Python 3.7. I could quit, or I could say Py. And you guys I'm running off the screen. I hope you saw that last one. Okay. And I can say Py, and I could do dash 3.9, and then I get Python 3.9. All right, that's pretty neat, isn't it? That is pretty neat. Okay, so now let's see if there's any other things that I should do there. No, okay, so you can use Py by dash and then which version you want, 3.7, 3.9, or 3.9 or 3.7, or if you just put Py, it'll give you the most recent one, or you can use Python and you can put the paths in the right order. So you see, here is how you get control of which Python you're running. Now, do you remember how we did that? And let me just look here. Let's see if I say Python. Okay, the 3.7.9 is on the top. Okay, now this is the question. What if I say pip and Py serial again? Okay, the question is, where is it going to install it? Oh, pip install. My mistake. Pip install Py serial. All right, it's going to go out and get it, and it is finding it and downloading it, and it says it successfully installed it. Okay, but now the real question is, where did it put it? Okay, so if I say Python, let's say if I say Py 3.9 or dash 3.9, okay, and then I say import serial, I get an error. Okay, so it didn't put it in 3.9.6. If I say Py minus 3.7, and then I say import serial, it liked it. Okay, so where did it put it? It put it in the Python that is first in the path. So if you just use Py, if you use the little shortcut Py, you can run whatever Python you want. But then when you run pip to install something, it's going to install it in the Python version that is the top one in the path. Okay? Do you see how this could get confusing? But I'm showing you exactly how this works. Okay, now I'm going to quit. And now let's uninstall it. So I'll say pip uninstall Py serial. Okay, yes, I want to uninstall it. All right, so now let's just check it. I'll say Py 3.7, and then, Py dash 3.7. Okay, now import serial, and it's not there, as we expect. Okay, so now, this is a way that you can control where you install it. If I just put pip, it goes to whatever the top path is in Python, whichever version that is. Got it? Now, there's a way you can do it where you don't have to go switch that around to get the right pip that you want. You can do it this way. I can say pip 3.9 and then install Py serial like that. Okay. And it says successfully installed. So now I will go Py minus 3.9, and I'll look there, and I'll say import serial, and boom, it's there. Okay, so you see, I can run the Python I want, and when I do pip, I can direct that installation to the version of Python that I want. Yes, I can put it in the version that I want. Who's in control? I'm in control. All right, and then just for good measure, I can come in and I can say Python minus 3.7, and then I can say import serial, and you can see that it's not there. Okay, and so now I'm going to do a pip, and then which was it? It was pip 3.9, and then I'm going to do the uninstall, and I'm going to uninstall PySerial so I get things back to where it was. Ooh, and spelling is kind of important, and so uninstall serial. Okay, yes, I want to install it. And boom. Okay, so you see, we can run the version of Python that we want, and we can control the version of pip that we want. And so that is pretty darn good and pretty darn important. And so we've kind of got complete control here of what we're doing. Now, why are we needing to do this? Because I've got one series of lessons that is using Python and Visual Python, VPython for doing 3D animations and 3D graphics. And then we've got another series of lessons where we're doing artificial intelligence. And those lessons are going to be operating on different versions of Python. So you need to be able to install a new version of Python and keeping the old one, and you need to control which version of Python you are running. And so I've kind of showed you how to do that here. And then like on one version, you're going to want to install Visual Python, and then on another version, you're going to want to install some other inference libraries and so forth. And so that is what you got to understand, because when I go through this in the lessons, I want you to understand what I'm doing and not just type in things that I'm typing in without really understanding how it works. Okay, promise you, we're going to try to get to the fun stuff as quick as we can. Okay, so what is your homework? Your homework is to install the latest version of Python 3.6, 3.7, you should already have it. Latest version of 3.8 and the latest version of 3.9. You're going to have 4 versions of Python, and then verify that you can pip install into each one of those using the techniques that I've shown you here, and that you can start it and you can quit it and you can print hello world, and you can verify that you put in PySerial or remove PySerial for those 4. Now you really need to do that. Now, what I like to always do, you guys that have taken my other lessons know that I like to put a little secret word in here. So I gave you a homework. When you do the homework, type down in the comments, I am legend. I am legend if you successfully completed the homework. If you messed up and couldn't get it to work, you type in, I folded up like a cheap Walmart lawn chair. So are you legend, or did you fold up like a cheap lawn chair? You need to do the homework, okay? Every week I'm going to give you homework. Also, I give a secret word at the end of the lessons to see if you in fact have watched all the way to the end. Now this secret word has to do with a little episode I had last night, okay? So last night I go to bed as I normally do, and I am kind of going off to sleep and out there in the little happy dreamland, and all of a sudden I hear a ruckus outside my window, and I didn't know what to do. I thought, well, I'm just going to ignore it because, you know, I didn't know what to do, but it was quite a commotion outside my window. And then this morning when I got up and I talked to the guard on the compound, and I asked him what that commotion was, he showed me this picture. Yes, we had a black mamba, the dreaded black mamba, outside my window, and this was a huge one. Okay, guard's name is Pius. Pius solved my problem for me. I'll just leave it at that. He solved my problem for me, but this was a massive black mamba. Now the thing is, I don't know, a black mamba, like you think of a king cobra, a black mamba is more dangerous than a king cobra. And if you get bit by a black mamba, it's like you have 30 minutes and then you die. Now, if you get antivenom, it can save you, but I am 3.5 hours away from the nearest place that has antivenom. So it's like 30 minutes, you die, I'm 3.5 hours away. Now, if you look on the internet and it says, what do I do if I'm bit by a black mamba? It says, number 1, stay calm. How are you going to stay calm if you get bit by a black mamba? How are you going to stay calm? I'm not going to be calm. Then the second thing it says to do is try to safely put the snake somewhere without harming it. If I just got bit by a black mamba, the last thing I'm going to be worried about is safely relocating the black mamba. Okay, but anyway, this was a really big one. What we did yesterday, we had kind of a big brush pile on the property, and we moved that brush pile. We kind of cut it down and moved it away. And I think the thing must have been in that brush pile, and we must have disturbed him. And then he was out looking for a new place. But the kind of scary thing to me was that I hope it was just one. I hope it wasn't a nest in there, because these things are in fact really dangerous. And I had a friend not long ago that got bit by one, just a small one. He just thought it was a garden snake, saw it on his porch, and he got it. The thing bit him, and it was just a little bitty one. And then he realized he had a problem, and they made a mad dash to the hospital. And he doesn't live right where I do, and he was like 45 minutes from the hospital. And like when he got to the hospital, he was to the point of really gasping, really unable to breathe. I believe the black mamba is a neurotoxin which basically kills your nerve where your brain can't send the signal to your diaphragm to breathe. And he was in the throes of not being able to breathe, but he got there just in time. They got enough antivenom in him that he actually lived. But I digress. I digress. At least I'm trying to put my digressions at the end. So if you watched all the way to the end of the video, what I need you to do is put the magic word black mamba. Okay, if you get the homework done successfully, you type in I'm legend. If you mess up, I fold it up like a cheap Walmart lawn chair. Okay, guys, we're going to get to the fun stuff really quick. Next week, what I'm going to do is another quick lesson like the one I did today, but I'm going to be showing you how to use Python environments. I'm going to be showing you how to use Python environments, and that is even the next level of control where you can customize different environments for different projects. And the reason for that is that let's say that I had two projects that I wanted to work on in Python 3.9. And let's say the new project that's using 3.9 needed me to install some libraries. And when I installed those libraries, something goes wrong and that library like corrupts my system. And then 3.9 I have to reinstall. Well, I lose everything that I had done to configure 3.9 for my earlier projects. I have to go and reinstall the libraries, reconfigure everything. So an environment is like a little isolated sandbox that you create, and you have Python 3.9 on your system once, and then as you do projects, you work within an environment which then ensures you won't corrupt what's outside that little sandbox. And so really, as we're starting to do these more advanced things, the environment is really important, because a lot of the stuff we're doing really is on the bleeding edge. And so some of these things are very early versions of the software. So it's very possible, you might even say likely, that we're going to do something that might corrupt the Python interpreter or corrupt the overall configuration. And so it's important for us to operate in environments. Okay, guys, if you like this, give me a thumbs up. Okay, leave a comment down below. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, when you subscribe, make sure you ring that bell so that you will get notifications when my future lessons come up. And just leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. Okay, Paul McWhorter from TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.